Ladies and gentlemen, sit back and relax for the next hour as the CW Reno brings you Old Tales in Nevada. It's an hour of rich Nevada history and current-day success stories hosted by scholar, historian, and world-renowned gold and silver baron Roy Marshall. Brought to you by the Silverland Inn and Suites and the Marshall Mint.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Old Tales in Nevada, past and present. Glad to have you with us this week. We have a wonderful show in store for you. We're going to interview a man who has faced many challenges, overcome many challenges, and has done many great things here in northern Nevada and actually around the world. So stay tuned. We'll tell you all about it right after this. We're back here in Old Tales in Nevada, past and present, and I'm John O'Brien, a moderator of the group here on our set. With me today is our regular benefactor, our good friend Roy Marshall. Next to him is our coordinator of the show, the honorary curator for the Nevada Historical Society, and glad to have him with us as well. But
good to see you.
Neil Cobb.
Neil Cobb.
Yeah, there you go.
You should see what we talk about off air. We have a lot of fun before we start the show. And then our special guest today is Senator Omer Raines. And Omer, welcome.
Welcome,
to
Omer.
you on our show today.
Thank you, John.
And
Welcome,
we're going to hear a lot about you because you have just a life's history that is so wonderful. It brings us a great deal of inspiration and motivation. So we look forward to that. But we always start the show with our good friend Roy over here because he's a man of many talents, just like you are, and much of it is up there on the Comstock, where he does a lot of gold mining, silver mining, has retail interest up there. So we always like to start the show with him, and he first of all tells us what the show's all about. So Roy, why don't you go ahead?
How you doing today, John?
Good.
Yeah, we do this show because this is a very, very important historic state in the United States, and a lot of people don't know why, or why the state, or why you should be proud to live in the state of Nevada, and that's what we do the show for, is to make people proud to live in the state of Nevada by the historic nature of the state. And basically, the government of Abraham Lincoln was totally broke after the Civil War, and it was totally split up also. But the Comstock silver and gold paid for that indebtedness to France, Germany, and England. Otherwise, we could have very well been France, Germany, and England instead of the United States of America. The other thing that happened here was the dollar was more or less invented at that time and minted down at Carson City, Nevada, and the monetization of the United States dollar was done at that time. And to further the story about the money, I'm sure many of you have heard about greenbacks and goldbacks, but originally our money's $1 or less was redeemable in silver, and $20 or more was redeemable in gold. And that's why there were gold and greenback dollars. And then we had a man came along by the name of President McKinley, which they named the peak after. He gave us the Federal Reserve Note. And the Federal Reserve Note has no monetization at all other than what we say it's worth. And not only did we do this, but also the other countries that agreed to this principle in 1890 from the Sherman Silver Act, for which our government was authorized to print $53 million per year of money. But after McKinley came along, then the printing presses have gone wild ever since.
They're working overtime right now.
We're headed for $17 trillion in debt. So it tells you something about the world, and the world that we live in is really is backed in a way by silver and gold, and that's what I do, is make up little silver and gold bars. And I have
nice little pastime
numerous
he has
numbers
up
of mines, but I found an area where I found a whole lot of very large gold over the years, and that gave me kind of a leg up on producing quite a bit of gold over the past 10 years, which I had no permit and also no location known by anybody else either.
Well, that's a good thing.
But we don't talk very much about that.
Yeah, the world will never know.
Yeah,
But you have
so-
some beautiful specimens there of the
Yeah,
things you're
come
putting
by the
into
Marshall
nuggets.
Mint up in Virginia City. We're the first place on your right from Reno, last place on your left from Carson.
96 North C Street.
96 North C Street, and we have a hotel up there, Silverland Inn and Suites,
That's
which we
right.
built for the community. And you'll find it's a great place to stay. Indoor pool, whirlpool suites.
Yep.
Very romantic location.
Yep. Special events,
Good place
everything
to take
happens
your
there.
honey.
Yeah, 847-4484.
You betcha. 847-4484.
That's right. And
Okay.
ask for Robert. He'll take special care, right?
There you
He's
go. Ask
he's
for Robert.
Your general manager. Over
Yeah, and basically we do this show with people that we can be very proud of, like Homer here.
there. Yes.
Who has had a tremendous influence on the world, and we all make a mark on the earth, and that's what we're all about. We love the people that make those marks on the earth, and we have them on the show, and we particularly think that they were great people that we read about, our fathers' fathers. So.
Yeah, when we're surrounded by good people like Senator Omer Raines,
Yep.
then it makes us do a better job with our own lives.
There
I
you
think.
go.
It's
Exactly
motivation
right.
for us. Yeah. Another character that we have
Yep.
in our midst is Neil Cobb. As
Yeah.
I mentioned,
Yeah.
honorary curator for the Nevada Historical Society, but also a good friend of the show and coordinates our show for us as far as the guests are concerned. And he's also a publisher of a great magazine that focuses on Nevada and Pride in Nevada as well, Nevada in the West.
And I'm also referred to not as the eye candy. Yeah. We have some fun with this on the set.
Yeah.
This is the 13th issue that we have of Nevada in the West, and there's fun labels on the bottom. I like this one: old roads, fast cars, and sheep.
And she,
Yeah.
Okay.
We cover the state. This is done by Nevada authors about Nevada things, or parts of California that have supported the Comstock with lumber or ice or whatever came about. Up in the northern part, up in Susanville and so on, all of the supply of food, the farms and stuff up there. But we're going to have a brand new issue.
All right.
And we got a brand new subscriber. Well, not the subscriber, an advertiser.
Oh, who is that?
The Marshall Mint.
Oh, right.
Hey,
Marshall
well,
Mint
that's
is
good.
coming
Yeah, we
on.
need to be in there. Yeah.
And I've let in on a little secret. The next cover that'll be out here in the next couple of weeks is up at Virginia City, and it's the front of the Fire Museum.
All right.
And so
very good.
that's going to
Fantastic.
be a fun one. So look us up on the net. This is NevadaInTheWest.com. And if you're inclined
Yeah.
to subscribe, we really appreciate it.
Now, just by any chance, does it have my big fish in there?
No.
No, it doesn't have
No.
my big fish.
No,
Oh,
well,
man.
it's only magazine size.
Oh, that's
it
true.
Just
I have
wouldn't
to
be
get-
enough room for it.
Yeah, I need one of those Look magazines, you know.
Yeah, you need
Large
the old
format
Look or Life. Yeah,
magazine.
that's
yeah,
what you
okay.
need.
Well, try to work on that, will you? And I'll
It's
let you
got,
have
it's
my
got
picture.
beautiful color photography though, and people that travel around the state should get this because then they can see what's in Tonopah
Yeah.
Yeah.
down there. There's a picture of Tonopah
Beautiful.
and a beautiful sunset.
There's things to see all over
There
the
is
state.
Yeah, they do great
beautiful
photography work
everywhere around.
Yeah, yeah.
And we got an endorsement from our guest today too, because he lives in Nevada. Of
Yes,
all
he
of the places that he has been, he has decided on us.
Yeah, nice segue. We want to reintroduce Senator Omer Raines, and Senator by name because he was a state senator in Southern California, but that's not even part of the story. When we start talking with him, you'll see what I mean. But I want to welcome you again, Senator Raines, and you are actually living right now in the Incline Village area.
That is correct.
Yeah, and as we were speaking the other day and off air and so on, that you really do have a love for Nevada, even though you are over there to the left of us, you know.
Not necessarily. I abhor labels and defy labels as well.
Good. Well, you must be enjoying life up there in the Incline area,
I
right?
love it.
Yeah,
I love the
overlooking
lake.
that lake. How long have you been up there?
Off and on for about 15 years now.
15 years. Super.
There was a 3-year hiatus in Geneva, Switzerland,
Oh, okay.
but I
that's a
came
nice
back
place.
here.
All right, very nice. So you didn't get your start here, of course. You were born in the and raised in the Midwest, and that what a great start for you, huh?
I
Tell
was-
us about that where you were born and some of the things you did as a child out there in Missouri.
I was born in the northern Missouri Ozarks, a town of 200 people called
right.
Barnett.
Yahoo!
Yeah. No running water, no electricity, obviously no telephone, no radio, no TV.
Amazing.
But it was a great place in which to grow up.
Yeah,
It
was
really
it a farm situation?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? You
Yeah.
had to go down to the
Yeah,
creek
farm.
and get your water and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, oh, for sure.
For
Well,
sure.
we had a water pump outside.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah.
You actually had a well, huh?
Yeah, we did indeed.
All right.
And you know, and even in the book that I've written, the
Yeah.
Back to the Summit,
Mm-hmm.
you know, from page right in the middle, page 180 to 188, there are a number of photographs about those years.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, those were delightful years. But
Oh.
at age 11, my parents, my father had been a professional baseball player. We came west
Oh, okay. Okay.
and to California,
Uh-huh.
and it was there that I eventually grew up and went into public service and did a number of other things.
Super. But that beginning in Missouri really gave you a work ethic. You never took
Oh.
anything for granted, did you? In fact, you had to jump out there and get with the program, didn't you? I mean, as
did
far
indeed.
as making a buck and making your way through life. You were telling me that nobody really gave you anything, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No. Once we arrived in California, I've worked, I guess, nonstop since age 11, and from age 15 on, I lived on my own. Put
Yeah.
myself through college, 7 years, 4 years undergraduate, 3 years graduate work, and it is what it is. You do in life, you know, what you have to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, I think back on those years, and I wonder how I did it, but I did it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think a lot of us back in those years did something similar to what you're talking about. I remember when I was 12, 13 years old, I went out and worked with a landscaper and cut lawns in the summertime. You
Oh,
know,
absolutely.
So I had my own spending money, so I go buy pizza and a bottle of Coke. but our parents almost expected us to do those kind of things, right? Didn't you think?
You had to learn your life skills.
Right, you had to learn your life skills. So what a great start for you in life to have that foundation.
Well, you establish your work ethic. There's
Exactly.
no doubt about it.
Well, and I think, you know, it helped you probably to meet challenges and overcome them. And basically, when you think about this book, Back to the Summit, which you authored, this is what it's all about. All the way through your life, whether professionally or physically, philanthropically, there are challenges that you've been meeting and you've been able to overcome them. You always like that as well, in a different way, you know. You too, right? Yeah.
You learn the hard way.
You learn the hard way, but it's a good way.
It is. It
Yeah.
really is, and it's like Omar as stated. It really develops your work ethic, and you apply that to your marriage, your social life, the whole works. You
Right.
watch what you're doing and you work at it.
Right.
You don't leave little things out. If things are bothering you, get to them. If things can be fixed, hit it head on.
Yeah, don't just lay there and
Yeah,
let it
no,
fester.
yeah, don't just,
Yeah.
well, well.
But we find a lot of these kind of individuals in Nevada.
Oh, yeah.
And they seem to migrate and like to be here in Nevada. It's that
I
kind
think it's,
of
you know, it's a
environment.
pioneering state in a way
Right.
still, because there's so few people that are actually here.
Right.
It's still a state that's in pioneer land, and there's more gold and silver here than probably any other state times 10.
Right. That's what I attribute it to.
Like John likes to point out, we make it easier than any other state to go ahead and be an entrepreneur.
Right.
To start your own business, to get out there and fight the world.
Right.
And you brought that up, I don't know how many times.
Yeah, because I see it every day.
Well, I believe that you, that's you.
Yeah, well, that's
You've
part of
done
my
the same
personality.
exact things.
Yeah, I like that.
Well-
I like that pioneer spirit in people. I
Yeah.
like people who don't just lay there and wallow in their misery, but they actually go out and do something
And to
about it.
be able to recognize the opportunity.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
to do it.
So, Omer, tell me, you got to California and you worked your way through school. What schools did you go to? Was it USC or Berkeley?
I went to the
or-
University of California, Berkeley.
Oh,
Four-
Berkeley,
4 years
okay.
undergraduate, 3 years
Okay.
law school.
So you came out as an attorney then?
I did.
Yeah, yeah. Now that's was a great place to be back in those days, and you were very successful as an attorney, right?
Yes.
What part of the business did you get involved in? You know, California showbiz. Did you get in that part of it?
Well, early in life, I was, for the first 3 years out of law school, I was a prosecutor.
Oh,
Ventura
wow.
County DA's office.
Uh-huh.
I went into private practice, so in 1969, and luck of the draw, green, behind the ears, young punk attorney. I ended up representing Charlton Heston, Steve McQueen, Johnny Cash.
Fantastic.
I mean, I thought I'd died and gone to heaven.
Yeah, let me, let's not die, but let's take a commercial break here. We'll come back and explore that a little bit further. So stay tuned. We'll be back with more Old Tales Nevada, past and present, right after this message. Welcome back to Old Tales Nevada, past and present. We're talking with Senator Omer Raines, author of a tremendous book, Back to the Summit. And it's available in softcover and also hardcover, right?
Hardcover, softcover.
Ebook too, he sells.
Paperback, yeah.
Kindleized. It's an audio edition.
You can get it almost anywhere, right? Any of the bookstores here in town have it, or
Yes.
you can get it at Amazon.com, all that kind of
Amazon.com.
thing.
I think the audio is probably only through online purchase.
Okay.
I don't know if the audio is in the bookstores.
Do you do like we do with our magazine? I got a trunk full.
Yeah, right. But you'll find this
I
thing.
don't have that many, but I have some.
It's full of inspirational stories in here, challenges that have been overcome. And like we said in the last segment, we have many in Nevada who are like this man that sits next to me. And that's why we like to explore these folks from time to time on our show, because they are such a inspiration for us to consider. Now, you became an attorney. You were handling some of the stars, even Evel Knievel, I understand.
Good friend.
What? That's a career in itself. But you didn't stop there. You got involved in the political arena, which many attorneys do. Some successfully, not so successfully. But you were successful. And whereabouts was your activity as far as the political realm was concerned?
I represented about 1.5 million people along the Central Coast area of California, principally the counties of Ventura, Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo.
Very wealthy areas.
Most of the area between Los Angeles and San Francisco,
Okay.
along the coast.
Along the coast.
About 5,000 square miles, and as I say, about 1.5 million people.
Yeah. And what years were that?
Well, that was 1974 to 1986. Actually, at that point in time, and of course this is no longer true because of the dramatic growth, especially of Clark County, but at that point in time, my district was larger from a population standpoint than the entire state of Nevada.
Yeah. Well, California itself, right? The fifth largest.
It was fifth largest economy in the world.
Yeah. So you had a very powerful position there. I think
Well,
you
I
were
did.
telling me you were one of the more powerful senators in the state, right?
Well,
Because of that population
Yeah,
area.
Yeah, I had the number 3 position, the Senate Majority Caucus Chairman.
Oh, is that right?
The youngest in state history, actually.
Yeah. Now, were you there when Reagan was in
Oh,
power?
yeah. Reagan was second term as governor.
Oh, no kidding, really?
Yeah.
Now, do you have a lot of interaction with
yeah.
Governor Reagan?
You know, Reagan had the sunny disposition that was portrayed via the TV and radio. He really did. And it was at a time when that was needed in our nation's history. I often disagreed with Reagan on policy issues and often agreed, but you couldn't help but like the guy.
I hear that said more times than
And
not.
we remained close all during the time he was president. He would invite me back to the White House, which was really extraordinary because I had been Carter's California State Chair.
Yeah, I read that in
And
the
Western
book.
State's co-chair. Reagan was he was a great guy, and he would always refer to me as my senator,
Oh,
which
is
was
that
a
right?
standing joke between the two of us because the Western White House was in the San Ynez Mountains.
Oh, so you really were a senator, yeah.
Oh, I was.
Yeah, that was
yeah,
your
and
coverage area there.
That's why I say it was a kind of a standing joke.
Yeah.
But because I did so much overseas travel, he would, and he would find out about it. He'd call in advance, make sure I was well received and well taken.
No kidding. Wow, isn't that fantastic?
So, you know, whether I agreed or disagreed with his policies, I really liked Ronald Reagan.
I hear that all the time. Tip O'Neill, who was his arch enemy,
Yeah, arch enemy.
in front
No,
of the
no,
camera,
Tip and Reagan were the best of friends.
behind cameras.
Tip, well, no, even in front of camera.
Even in front of camera?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Tip O'Neill was his best friend. Tip was the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Democrat,
Yeah.
and without question, and Reagan would often say this, Tip O'Neill was his best friend, his
Isn't that
closest
something?
person.
Couple of
with whom to work.
Irishmen.
Well, they surely argued over policy in those days.
Well, they did. They did.
Yeah.
But unlike today, you know, one thing, you know, Reagan, I really believe this. Reagan today would be called a rhino. Republican in name only.
He was moderate.
Because, well, he was always willing to compromise.
Well, that he was. He could
would
make
al-
things happen.
He would always quote Walt Lippmann, the famous political scientist, Politics, the Art of Compromise. And you could sit down and talk to Reagan. We all know, because we read about it, that Reagan raised taxes whenever he felt it to be necessary, both mainly as governor. And of course, he signed Gail Simpson's 1985 Immigration Act, which I thought was really amnesty. And you can, if it looks like a duck, waddles like a duck, and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Now, you can call it whatever you want. But what really is shocking to most people, guess who signed California's Therapeutic Abortion Act?
Reagan?
Reagan
Did, huh? Yeah,
You know,
yeah. Well,
Speeches to the contrary notwithstanding.
Yeah.
You could just sit down and talk to the guy.
He really was a very nice man. I met with him several times myself, and I
That's
met,
right. You
met
have
with him
pictures
here
at the house.
in Reno when he came here. And Reagan had a way about him, just as you've been indicating, that was a compromising position.
It was.
In order to get things done. And, we've had an uncompromising position going on for a long time now.
Yeah, there's a
which
line
is
in the
not
sand there
helping
now.
up there in Washington at all. Nobody can get along with anybody. We need Reagan again, or somebody that'll bring people together.
Yeah. When you think of,
we also need to take reapportionment or
No,
gerrymandering
definitely.
out of the hands of legislators.
Oh, definitely.
Because there's an inherent conflict of interest. So it's almost impossible to displace an incumbent anymore, no matter how bad
agree
or
with you.
evil or ethically challenged they may be.
Ethically
That's
challenged.
horrible.
I love that.
now tell me, you also had a close association with Carter because you were the state chairman for him during that election. What were the personality differences there between Reagan and Carter that you picked up that you could tell us about?
Well, the most significant is the following, in my opinion. Reagan delegated almost everything, and sometimes that got him in trouble, like with Iran, Contra, and what have you. But he did delegate and did not do a lot of reading about current events. Usually he confined it to 2 to 3 page. The New York Times says this, Washington Post says this, Louisville Courier Journal says this, St. Louis Post-Dispatch, LA Times, and that was it. Carter, on the other hand, who was extremely bright, extremely intelligent, that Southern accent is very beguiling, he would involve himself in all of the minutia of every single item, which also is something that a president, in my opinion, simply can't do. There's just too much on the plate.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So they were diametrically opposed from that standpoint. Both wonderful human beings.
Yeah. Was Carter fun to be around?
He was.
He was, huh?
I mean, not only was I close to him then, I am now.
Are you really?
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Does he get you out there driving nails?
I've done some of that.
I bet you have.
As a matter of fact, some of the profits of this go to Habitat for
Well,
Humanity.
Habitat for Humanity.
There you
right
go.
there.
Sure.
You are supporting
Good
that
job.
work.
That's a
great.
wonderful.
It really is.
Yes.
And I'll tell you this about Carter. Whatever one thinks about his administration, he certainly has taught us how a former president ought to conduct himself.
Very true.
I
Very
mean, he's
true.
dedicated his life
Very
to
true.
human and civil rights around the world, often putting himself in harm's way. And he's really been, I think, an extraordinary asset to our country internationally.
Yeah, well, that's great that you had those kind of experiences politically with these kind of men, because you'll never forget Reagan, you'll never forget Carter because of the things that were going on back in those days.
Well, and I was at the Camp David Accords.
Wow,
You know,
amazing, yeah.
with Anwar Sadat, Menachem
These
Begin.
men really handle the Middle East much better than any presidents that we've had since
So
Carter.
you were familiar with Sadat as well, right?
Yeah, he was a very good friend of mine.
Friend of
His
yours,
wife,
family.
just was over at my house about 2 months ago.
Right.
What about?
I have great admiration for Anwar Sadat,
He was a
and I
great
write
man.
about it in this book.
Very religious
Not only
man.
because I, during Camp David Accords, got to know him and was impressed by his intellect and by his civility and by his willingness to compromise, but something happened the night the Camp David Accords were signed. I was representing California. I was able to take my wife. That evening, under the tent, you may recall this,
Oh, yes.
we had an equal number of Americans, Israelis, and Egyptians at various tables. And I was seated directly across from the equivalent of our chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff for Egypt.
Okay.
And he said to me at one point, boy, he had this steely look in his eye. I'll never forget this. It sent chills down my back. He said, I'm a great admirer of my president. And he was, referring to Anwar Sadat. He said, but today, he has signed his death warrant.
Uh-oh.
And he knows it.
Wow.
And of course, not long thereafter, he was assassinated, in fact, by the military on the tarmac in the airport in Cairo. But I've never forgotten that. I've always had great admiration and respect for Anwar Sadat. And that peace treaty, with all the problems we currently have with the situation in Egypt, has stood the test of time.
Yeah,
It's lasted for over 30 years.
Well,
and I do believe, and I could well be wrong here, there was sufficient trust between the Israelis, Malcolm Begin and others, Shimon Peres and Carter, and the same with Anwar Sadat, that it's quite possible that had Carter served a second term, we might have had a lasting peace in the Mideast.
I think so too. Carter really did more than any other president to move us along further over in the Middle East.
Now, when you were there, was Mansfield still active,
Oh,
or
yes.
was it the other feller, Laxalt? Was he there as well? Did
Both
you have
of
a lot of interaction with those people?
Mansfield, yes, I knew Paul Laxalt, but I did not know him well,
Okay.
and did not really work with that
Yeah,
Laxalt.
because there were two famous senators.
Well, they
that
were, and they were both very powerful.
Very
one
powerful,
a Democrat,
yeah.
one a Republican.
Exactly, yeah. So we've had some great men.
And of course, Laxalt had two hats to wear: U.S. Senator and also Republican National Chair. At one point.
Exactly, yeah. So they carried a lot
he
of
was
weight.
he was my attorney when I moved here from
Is that
Texas.
right?
Paul
Oh,
Laxalt.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Mickey
and now you have
and,
Harry Reid, whether you like him or not. I mean, he's definitely a powerful man back there in Washington.
Well,
right
you
now.
know,
He's
he
been
really-
a powerful man for quite a while.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, he really is. I mean, let's face it. There is a possibility, I hope not, but there's a possibility that never again will Nevada have somebody in that position of power
I can believe it.
that can help the state of Nevada.
Yeah. Well, let's take a break here, and then I want to come back, move away from the political arena. I want to hear about your trek up Mount Everest a little bit, okay, and some of those other mountaineering exploits that you did. And I also want to get into this a real theme of the book here, back to the summit, which not only has to do with the physical, not only the professional summits you've climbed, but also the physical challenges you've had to face and how you've overcome them. So we'll be back with more Old Tales from Nevada right after this. We're back here in Old Tales in Nevada, past and present, and I'm John O'Brien, and with me on the set today is Roy Marshall, Neil Cobb, and our special guest, Senator Omer Raines. And what a life story he is, from a poor kid to reaching the American dream in many, many ways. We left our last segment kind of closing out your political career, because we want to move on to other things. But even though you were a Democrat by designation, your philosophy has always been more of a libertarian view, right, than that?
I absolutely abhor political labels.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fiscal conservative, and that's evidenced by my voting record. I don't have to say it. People can look and track it. On social issues, I am generally progressive, but I'm a libertarian at heart. So,
And that's Nevada, too.
Call me what you wish. That's who I am.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And that's why you had friends like Charlton Heston, because he was, he was a fairly conservative guy, but he also had the other side of his life, too, that he supported, which was more on the liberal side, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't even call him a conservative. People, you ask people about Heston, and they remember the iconic photograph.
Yeah.
And his NRA and his belief in the Second Amendment,
All right.
which I also embrace. But the fact is, because he was a client of mine and a friend of mine, and he always supported me, and we would have long philosophical discussions, especially at his home down in Coldwater Canyon, that you became aware that he was a very deep and thoughtful person. And he marched with Martin Luther King Jr. He was very strong civil rights advocate, civil and human rights. He had a heightened sense of environmental awareness, and to think of him just because of this iconic photograph is an injustice to Heston.
Yeah, I know. That's
I
the
believe so,
stereotype
too.
you get for
You know,
because
again, that's why I hate these labels. Cesar Chavez the great icon of Hispanic or Latinos, was opposed to illegal immigration for logical reasons. You know why? He was trying to unionize farm workers, and he told me a couple of times, he said, I cannot get a fair and decent wage for the farm workers. I can't get adequate housing. I can't get health care so long as illegal immigrants are coming
Exactly.
in.
Makes
Because
sense.
the
That's the problem.
agribusiness is just going to, continue to say, my God, I want these people that are scared to death. If they don't accept what I say, they're going to be deported. And he said that just undercuts everything I'm trying to do for the farm workers.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, so it's good that you can have a relationship with people deep enough to know that there are 2 or 3 sides to most of these people you don't see on camera.
Most people
you know?
are
Yeah.
multifaceted.
And that's
Yes,
brought
yes.
out in the book too. So take a look at that if you get a chance to get it. A couple more summits I wanted to get to. One was your mountaineering experiences. You conquered the highest peak in the world, right?
Well, I have a background in mountaineering, in the Himalayas, in the Karakorams, in the Andes, up in Alaska, in the Kaput Mountains, in the Alps, and elsewhere. But the book, Back to the Summit, the summit's actually a metaphor, because in 2002, I suffered a massive ruptured brain aneurysm and an associated hemorrhagic stroke. Ought to have killed me on the spot, and long, about an 8 or 9 hour brain operation, and platinum coils were threaded up through my heart, brand new technique that had been developed just shortly before in London through the carotid artery, inserted into my brain. They remain there today.
Wow.
To this day, though, the doctors, all of them, and there are a lot, say your recovery has defied medical explanation because I was told I ought not be able to communicate, I shouldn't be able to recollect, and if I could do that, I certainly should not be able to walk.
Yeah, you were totally paralyzed, right?
I was.
Yeah.
I was carried home in a gurney in a paralytic state, told I would never walk again.
Did you have speech and that sort of thing?
I did. I recovered my ability to speak rather quickly, which the docs kept shaking their head, and I was able to, even in the beginning, it was very difficult. But, because I was in a coma for 8 days, and I was, asked some rudimentary and preliminary questions, and I experienced great difficulty in trying to answer them in the beginning. But I talk about the way in which, whether it's tenacity, determination, and willpower, whether it's because of other obstacles and encounters that I had to overcome throughout life, or whether it's because of a being or creator greater than any of us know, who knows? But the bottom line is, within 1 year, I was back doing everything.
That's amazing.
That really is amazing.
Well, I think that work ethic from a child and your determination and resolve to get things done had to come into play in your recovery. You just weren't going to be satisfied with the status quo, right?
Yeah, well, that is the summit, the recovery I made, because as I say, it was a metaphor. And, I wrote the book really. I've been encouraged to for so long, but I really wrote this book, and it's all my writing. I take responsibility for every word to hopefully inspire others who have great challenges in life, whatever the nature of that challenge.
Omer, how long were you tied up with this ailment? For a year or so, or?
Well, I felt that after 1 year, and I write about an incident that happens because all along the way, I'm making
progress?
But after 1 year, I felt that I was completely recovered.
Oh, beautiful.
But I had my own, every time the doctor said you'll never walk again, we don't even know how you were able to talk, I would say to myself, I wouldn't say this out loud, but I would say BS, the full expression. And I had my own goals. I'm going to walk within 30 days. I don't care what they say. I'm going to shoot some hoops within 60 days. And, I'm in my 60s by this time.
Sure.
And I'm going to do spring skiing within 90 days. 120 days, I'm going to play softball, tennis, and thereafter everything.
That must have been what did it.
And I did.
Did you write down your goals? Was it
No.
you couldn't even write in those days, right?
No, I couldn't.
That's a
write. I had to-
fantastic
But
story.
goal setting
Isn't
is
that great?
a
That is-
big
yeah, it really is.
for anybody who's successful in life. You have to have goals.
Maybe very persistent.
Yeah, you got to be persistent.
No, I didn't write them down, but I write about them, and I had them in my mind. And you're right, I couldn't write.
You couldn't write.
Do you have a hard time writing no?
I have a hard time saying no.
Well, in conjunction with that, you were telling me at lunch the other day you were in a fairly still paralyzed condition, and you needed to go to the store, and nobody was around. So tell us that story. What'd you do?
Well, I got to a point where and this was fairly dangerous because had been carried to a second floor bedroom, or the house overlooking the American River, and I had this thought because I had navigated across a room, flat surface, to a wall, and I thought, boy, the stairs, I could look down the stairs. Man, I wonder if I can get down there. And so the bottom line is I got to the bottom. And then I thought, well, I'm here. I see one of my cars right outside the door. Maybe I can drive. And I did not do well.
Oh, boy.
But I didn't hurt anybody.
That's
Didn't hurt
good.
myself.
That was good.
And I actually started laughing that I had tried.
Yeah.
First time I had laughed since my aneurysm. And but anyway, yeah.
You were able to get into the car, drive, get to wherever you were going, or did you decide not to go that far and come back?
It was a gated area, and I got near the gate and realized I was having to try to lift my leg to put it on a brake.
Oh,
I was
boy.
going
Wow.
and,
What an experience.
But that was part of getting to the summit. That's for sure, right?
Yeah.
That was
That's right.
Yeah.
I kept pushing myself.
Yeah.
And every time I did something, I thought, not defeat, but victory, even if I failed.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, okay, I did something I hadn't done yesterday.
Right.
Tomorrow I'll do better.
Yeah, yeah. That must have been such a challenge for you because, we talked about what you did physically, climbing Mount Everest and other mountaineering things and hiking and all this. You're a very physical man.
I've been blessed from that standpoint.
Yeah, yeah. So to have this happen for a lot of people, it's totally devastating. A lot of people who have maladies, they become very self-centered and oh, woe is me, and they don't work themselves back.
You cannot wallow in self-pity.
Right, right.
You must not do that.
Much not. I agree with you 100%. So you came back, and about a year or so, you thought you were back close to 100%, your opinion 100%. Did you go back into the attorney field, or was this a life-changing experience with you as far as your priorities, the way you treated other people? What did it do to you after the fact?
Well, in my own perhaps less than humble opinion, I had always tried to help people in various ways. But from that event on, I decided I would dedicate my life to humanitarian efforts.
Nice, nice.
And
That's a good use of your life.
I began to build libraries, economic development projects, women's empowerment centers, orphanages, and other such projects in rural and remote parts of the developing world. Principally in Nepal, in India, in Nepal, more recently in Latin America and Africa.
Great.
And that is my life right now, really.
Okay. I want to hear
Beautiful.
about that when we come back.
Beautiful.
Some of the different organizations you're involved with, maybe some of the success stories you've seen already, and what your plans are for the future. So stay tuned. We'll be back with more of Senator Omer Raines and his journey to the summit in a number of different ways right after this message on Old Tales of Nevada, past and present. We're back here for our last segment of Old Tales of Nevada for this week, and what a great conversation we're having with Senator Omer Raines, and he is the author of the book Back to the Summit, and we've seen how it truly is a metaphor, not only for the physical exploits that he's done, but professionally in every other way. So it's a great book, great motivational, inspirational book as you face challenges in life, how you can overcome them with your own resolve, your own experiences. But, when we talk about your physical recovery, there had to be people involved to help you along there, some confidants, some close friends. You might want to mention, I know there's one up in Incline Village that died recently. That was a big help to you, right?
I would be remiss if I did not mention a truly great Nevadan, George Galante.
Mm-hmm.
George had lived in Nevada for about 40 years, and he and I had been close friends for over 25 years. And during my recovery process, I must say, other than remarkable physicians, George Galante was the most important person in that recovery. He would be with me everything I did. And if I tried to do something, he would say, "My God, you're not going to do that without me." And in fact, the one time
Beautiful.
I tried to do something without him, I injured myself.
There you go.
Because, you know, for example, if we were skiing, there'd come a point where George, who was world class, by the way, world class athlete, world class skier, tennis player, what have you, he would say, "Omer, we're going to stop now." And I would say, "No, George, I'm having fun. You know, I'm getting better." He would say, "No, you're having to work harder than anyone else on the mountain. You know, because I'm overcoming the handicaps,
Sure.
the impediments." And he said, "That's when people get injured. We're going to stop." And we would.
Great.
And one time I went out with a lady friend and without George, and sure enough, I,
Wiped out, right?
no doubt trying to impress a woman,
Oh, that hurts, don't it?
To go wipe out.
go up the double black diamonds that I used to do, and yeah, I ended up getting injured pretty badly. But the point is, George was a remarkable human being. I don't know that I've ever known of anyone who was more caring and loving and giving than George Galante. Not just to me, but to anyone he met and liked.
That's
Fantastic.
He
beautiful.
liked
I
everybody.
think we all need that. You
Yeah.
got,
Oh, yeah.
When you go through a traumatic experience, if you have one close friend, confidant that you can bounce things off of,
Very
and you're
important.
looking out for your best interest, you get over things a lot
Yep.
faster. And they so many times have great suggestions, direction to give, and sometimes you're not thinking about that when you're sick or you're emotionally upset. You know, so great that you brought
Yeah.
that out to us.
That
You've
is,
made a
yeah.
huge amount of friends since.
Oh, yes.
Not just because of what you've overcome, but just getting out there and making things happen on the positive. All of these other things that you've said yes to have really brought you full circle all the way up, and now you're every bit as effective as you were as a state senator.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
What gives you the
That's
most pleasure as
fantastic.
you look back at what you've done? Is it the philanthropic and the work you're doing currently, or was it the making a living and being around those famous people? Where do you put more emphasis as far as quality goes?
Well, to me, my humanitarian efforts are the most important thing to me. They really are. I mean, it's time to give back. You know, I've been blessed to be born in this country, to have opportunities to advance, notwithstanding encounters and challenges, notwithstanding an impoverished beginning. But the Lord gave me, my parents gave me a good mind, a good body, and what more can one ask for?
Right.
Really.
That's
Right.
good.
Roy, you'd be in definitely harmony with what he just said, right?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
been very appreciative of the state, too. And you've been all over the world, but yet you've covered Nevada like a lot of Nevadans haven't.
Oh, I've crisscrossed this state backwards and
But
forwards.
tell
north,
some of your
south,
favorite
east, west.
places.
Well, you know, some of them people probably don't even go to. I love Goldfield.
Goldfield,
Goldfield,
is
that's-
neat. Yeah.
There's a lot of history there, and it's a fascinating place. But no, I've been Gerlach, I've been Tonopah, and
Oh, and
of
if you-
course,
if
Las
you haven't
Vegas.
been to the
I've been
Ruby-
Great Basin. I love the Ruby Mountains.
Oh, the
I've
rubies, oh
camped and
God, aren't
hiked
they
and
gorgeous?
The
Yeah.
wildflowers. that
Little
bloom
old
there.
Lamoille.
Oh.
Is it hard to get to some of those places, Omer?
No.
Or
No,
can
it's really not. There are
Yeah.
highways, but people don't go off the,
Yeah.
you know, people usually go 40, 50, you know,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
go across the street.
They don't want to take
80.
that side road, huh?
Yeah. I mean, you get out to Elko, all you have to do is turn south. You get down to the Rubies, and they're beautiful
Well,
mountains.
you were just
Yeah.
telling me about a trip back up from, where were you, Southern California or
Well,
something?
I went up to Yosemite with my dog, and we did some camping up the Tioga Pass, which opened early this year because of the lack of snow. And then we went down to Mount Whitney, did some climbing. I do a lot. And then we went over to Joshua Tree, and on the way back, we went by way of Death Valley, and then cut over to the Amargosa Valley into Nevada, and up to Beatty, you know, and Goldfield, and of course Tonopah, and Silver Springs, and yeah. But I go all over the state. I understand that you always even got property out in Ione.
Oh, he loves Ione. He
Yeah.
goes out there and just
I've
gets,
been- Oh, yeah.
he goes out and gets away from us. Yeah.
I've been to Ione.
That's his
You pretty
hideaway.
much get away from everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's,
Yeah,
you know,
Allen's a great place.
when you go out to those ghost towns, those old mining towns and so on, your mind just runs away, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it does.
When you start thinking about what happened back there and the kind of characters that had to populate
It's
those
going to happen
places.
again all over. It's all
You were-
over again. It's happening in the state right now.
Right now.
Winnemucca, Elko, these are all boom towns.
Yeah.
Yeah, not only gold and
Island's a great
silver.
place to live too. I see someday there'll be hundreds of people there too. I mean,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
You know,
tremendous
I
gold
like the
deposit there.
Black Rock Playa as well.
Yeah, it's a
It's
great
great
area up there
look,
too.
yeah.
Well,
Sure.
in the thought process that you had when you spotted the Sierra for the first time. And
Well, it
it's-
wasn't the first time, but
It
I
was just-
remember last winter I'm driving north, and I get to Yerington, as I recall, and I look up in front of me, and this is wintertime,
Yeah.
and we had those heavy December snows, and I see this mass of white in front of me, just towering, and I'm thinking to myself, the courage, the conviction, the tenacity and determination to come across in a Calistoga wagon and look up,
Yeah.
not see a pass anywhere in front of you,
Yeah,
wondering how in the world are we going to get across that?
yeah.
And
That's
yet
what
they-
I often
and
And
yet
yet they did
They
it.
did.
Yeah.
Did it.
Yeah.
That's-
What an inspiration. I mean, it's just what you did. I mean, it takes those kind of people. And that's
It
what
does.
populates
Really
Nevada.
does,
That's
yeah.
what makes us proud to be in Nevada.
Very proud.
You know, we run into those people
Yeah.
every day, actually. You know, especially in our business. You know, being in the media, we run into some great personalities almost daily. We find people who are willing to climb the summit, whatever it takes. You know.
Yeah.
So again, where can we get the book?
Well, it's in the various libraries around, including UNR and the county library, but you can buy it on Amazon, you can buy it in Barnes & Noble,
Okay.
either in the store or online.
Oh,
Now, do you
okay.
do
It's
speaking
either-
engagements
then.
like that?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
I frequently speak, but it's in paperback, it's hardcover, it's ebook, Kindleized.
Ebook, yeah.
There's an audio edition out where I do the narration myself. And in fact, the studio has asked me to come back and begin to narrate their books.
And I was complimenting him on what a wonderful voice he's got. It's
Yeah,
not,
sure does.
It's not just for radio; it's for TV too.
Yeah,
because-
you can do it either way. But you do speaking engagements. Now, if people wanted you for a speaking engagement, do they get a hold of you personally? Do you have a booking agent, or how does that work?
Yes and yes, but the best way is to directly deal with me.
Okay, and how would they get in touch with you for something like that? Is there a website they go to, or?
There is www.senorains, SENORAINS.com. It looks like senior, senorains.com, or www.backtothesummit.com.
You can find it there too. So look for that. We'll have it on on the screen for you. Now, if people want to get involved in some of your charitable work to help you out, or to have you get involved in what they're doing, since you're in this part of the life of philanthropic giving and participation, would they contact you the same way for that?
Yes, although I will say that I get offers and requests for help every single day.
Yeah, that seems to be the way.
Most of which I, simply can't deal with.
Right.
People asking every day for assistance in really good deeds and good things that I would like to be involved in, but you can only do so much.
Yeah.
in
Does
life.
that remind you of your day there?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, we've given about $3.5 billion away over the past 25 years.
Yeah.
It was my granddad's money for the most part, and we started three trusts, one for health, and one for education, and one for art. I'm the director of the educational one.
Yeah, isn't that nice when you have the resources to help people?
Yeah.
Well,
not everybody has that opportunity.
Yeah, but a lot of these charities, they have to make money too. So you have to put the money into the marketplace and then make money on it, and then give away the money that you made.
Yeah.
And then you keep the corpus of what you had there, so it can continue to grow rather than just you can't spend it all at once.
Yeah,
I really should give some credit to the following. Although I take no salary whatever, nor do I expect expense reimbursement, much of my project funding has come from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Oh, good.
Oh, wonderful.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that must be
Because
worthwhile because they're careful.
Yeah, they are careful. Boy, I'm so impressed. I mean, 21 milestones to achieve each year. But the point I'm making is that they do so much good. They really do. And when I was international chair of READ Global, we did over 50 projects. And there's no way that maybe you, Roy, could have done it. No way I could have, funded all those projects.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I
Well,
can
listen,
understand that.
we are plumb out of time, so we have
Sure,
to end
appreciate you
our
coming on board
conversation.
with
We
us,
could go
yeah.
on much longer, but it's been great talking with
Yeah.
you, Senator Omer Raines, and look forward maybe to having you back again. All
Sure.
right, and stay in good health for us. All right,
Thank you,
we
my friend.
appreciate it very
Yeah.
much.
Keep in
Yeah.
contact with
Yeah,
Jim
we
Webb.
always have a party
Yeah.
too with the people that have been on the show. We'd love to have you come to.
That's
I don't know
right.
when we're
I'd
going
love
do
to.
it.
I love Virginia
Yeah.
City.
You, Roy,
Yeah,
thanks
we'll
for
do a
bringing the
party.
show to TV.
Sure.
Neil, thanks for all the work on getting our guests like
Yeah.
Well, I
here.
had
Sure,
some help
appreciate
with
it.
this one. Jim Webster gets a little credit
All
on
right,
this
so
one.
listen, we want to
Well,
thank
we
all the
like
audience
old
for
Jim,
being here
too.
as well, and invite you back next week for another episode of Old Tales of Nevada, Past and Present. In the meantime, this is John O'Brien saying goodbye for this week and have a great Nevada day.
You've been watching Old Tales of Nevada with your host, Roy Marshall, historian and world-renowned gold and silver baron, presented by the Silverland Inn and Suites and the Marshall Mint in Virginia City. Join us again next Thursday at 1 p.m. on the CW Reno for another edition of Old Tales of Nevada.